Entrepreneurially Thinking is a presentation of BioSTL and CET, Center for Emerging Technologies, with RareGem Productions, changing the way you view new ventures, including you on the pathway to success with your business in the St. Louis marketplace and beyond. Here's your hosts, Cheryl and Christy. Now let's get thinking entrepreneurially.
Welcome to the Entrepreneurially Thinking podcast. Our goal is to energize your entrepreneurial mindset and create pathways for business success in the St. Louis marketplace and beyond. I'm Christy Maxfield, Director of Entrepreneur Development Services at the Center for Emerging Technologies.
And I am Cheryl Watkins-Moore, the Director of the Inclusion Initiative with BioSTL.
Welcome back to our regular listeners, and welcome to our newest listeners who are joining us for a podcast that is all about stepping outside of your comfort zone. So we encourage you to carve out this time to really think about your opportunities, your business goals, new ways of looking at the world around you and the opportunities that might exist, because we know that you can be entrepreneurial right where you are. We encourage you to stay connected with Entrepreneurially Thinking on your favorite streaming platforms. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or by visiting our entrepreneuriallythinking.com website and following the hashtag ETHINKSTL.
Today, we'll be chatting with an organization that is already impactful in our region with a long-standing history, almost 50 years, of changing the conversation about disabilities in St. Louis. Today, we're at Paraquad, which is an organization that works with people with disabilities of all ages, empowering them to increase their independence through choice and opportunity. We have Paraquad CEO Aimee Wehmeier, who is only the third executive director and CEO in the organization's history. Beth Jantz, their grant writer, and Dennis Kouo, a Paraquad board member, joining us to talk about their organization and a new social enterprise. You see, they're developing a new cafe in the South City area that will offer their constituents employment opportunities, as well as a place for the broader community to connect, innovate, and collaborate over breakfast or lunch. When we come back, we'll be speaking with Aimee, Beth, and Dennis and find out more about their new innovative service offering.
Now here's Make It Happen with Keith Sales Pro.
As an entrepreneur, I've learned these 4 things that no one tells you about entrepreneurship. Number 1, there is a sense of isolation that is really profound. We're all used to being part of a reference group. When you're an employee of an established business, you have colleagues. When you're in college, you have classmates. Number 2, most businesses provide a lifestyle and a job, but they don't provide wealth. For example, most restaurant owners probably take home an income that is not much greater than that made by a restaurant manager at a popular chain. Number 3, it usually takes many years to build a business. I've run several businesses in my lifetime. Very simple businesses, moderately simple businesses, and very complicated businesses. Number 4, you have to manage people. When running a business, you're constantly managing not just employees and vendors, but customers as well. If you love what you're doing and you like business, being an entrepreneur could be a great thing. It's certainly good for the country, but recognize that it may not live up to the picture painted in the popular media.
Today, remember, it can happen. It will happen. And together, we will make it happen.
Follow Keith Sales Pro on Facebook or Twitter at Keith Sales Pro, or visit his website at keithsalespro.com.
It can happen. It will happen. And together, we will make it happen.
My name is Al Lee. I am president of the Asian American Chamber of Commerce of St. Louis, and entrepreneurially thinking to me means looking at life through the lens of opportunity.
So we have successfully said your names, which is always the first hurdle of our time together. Exactly. So we feel really good about that. We're going to ride that wave. And to keep us going, Aimee, would you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about Paraquad and get the conversation started?
My name is Aimee Wehmeier, and I am the CEO and president of Paraquad, where we empower people with disabilities to increase their independence.
Awesome.
And I love Paraquad because it really is the story of my life. Left home when I was 18 years old, been living independently ever since, and my job and my goal is to make that dream possible for other people with disabilities.
That's awesome.
So you left home at 18?
Yes, ma'am.
Ooh.
I didn't get out at 18.
No, I think I was in college. Tried to
I lingered a little.
Yeah.
I didn't boomerang, but I definitely lingered a little.
Exactly.
Well, I went to college. I mean, that's leaving home, right?
Okay, so that's what you're talking about, leaving home.
Yeah, I commuted.
Okay.
I lingered.
She lingered.
It's all good. And Beth, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. So I'm the grant writer of Paraquad, and I just came a couple years ago. Basically, I love finding the fit between the nonprofits and funders, finding how the funder's strategic vision for the region can fit with what the nonprofit's doing to, help people in our community.
You're the money lady.
I am.
Yes, and as a recovering, no doubt, as a recovering fundraiser, I understand the thrill of the Connect, and that is actually how I got into social entrepreneurship as a director of development, saying, what are the other ways we can generate revenue for this fantastic mission, and what does that look like from an earned revenue perspective, which I think is a really important question for organizations to ponder. It's not always the right fit, but if it is, it really can open up a whole lot of things. And Dennis, as a board member, what brought you to Paraquad, and how are you a part of this journey for them?
Yeah, I first became involved with Paraquad a couple years ago, actually through Washington University. They have a great program called the Olin Board Fellows Program. Yeah, I'm going to put a little plug in there.
Please, plug everything you want.
They'll be really happy to hear that. And so that program, what they did is it's, I guess, a cross-collaborative program with local nonprofits and then also the business students. So we can donate, I guess, our business skills and experience, and then also at the same time become a little bit more engaged with the local nonprofit community, and then also just understand, I guess, the environment a little bit more. And so I became engaged with the restaurant project for as part of a course credit program, and then after that project ended, well, it didn't really end because it's still ongoing.
After your student obligation ended, you're now with Boeing, right?
Yeah, right.
Excellent. Okay.
After this school gave me my credit, and I could
excellent.
hit the road. I just, Aimee and the board invited me to stay on as a full-time board member, and I graciously accepted. And it just ended up being a really great experience, and just constantly inspired by Paraquad as an organization and the board just every day. So I wanted to stay on and be a part of that team.
I love the Olin connection, because if any of you listening know the sort of origin stories of social entrepreneurship in St. Louis, the mythology includes Teresa Carrington from the Blessing Basket, who actually won the Olin Cup, which is why we now have the social entrepreneurship and innovation competition at WashU, because as a nonprofit, she won the for-profit business plan competition, and they did not know what to do with her.
Well, and now she's at Paraquad.
Exactly.
So
she's at Paraquad?
Yeah, they rent our building.
That's right. You guys co-locate, but she's still president of the Blessing Basket Project. Okay. For something, I thought I missed something.
There's a lot of connections here. My one of my co-founders for my company is located within the Paraquad facility, Dr. Jack Ingsberg.
Ah, Jack.
So
he's retiring.
Yeah, I know. So I'm very familiar with Paraquad. Yes. There's a lot to talk about here.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about, a lot of connections. So I just want to let our listeners know right now, the project that we're going to talk most about today, the restaurant project, is as of yet unnamed. So perhaps there is an opportunity for you to lend your branding and marketing expertise if that's one of the things you like to bring to the table. But we're really in on the ground floor of this opportunity with Paraquad. And Dennis, maybe you can tell us a little bit about how the board looked at this opportunity for the organization and why it's a good fit.
Yeah, I think this project has been a seed in the minds of the board for quite some time now. And as we got planning into the expansion of our facility, we saw that as an opportunity where we had this huge space to begin this restaurant project. And I wasn't around for who actually shot out, how about we do a restaurant?
That's what I want to ask.
Aimee will have to fill in that blank for us.
Yeah, because Aimee, you are only the third executive director for this organization. It's been around 50 years. So where did this kernel from that's a pun on everything up, this kernel come from with regards to the restaurant industry looking at it as an opportunity?
So, I think I was probably most in favor of the restaurant. And really, I have to confess, you guys talked about being foodies. I am a foodie. But, so at Paraquad, I think one of the things that we're looking at is the economic self-sufficiency of people with disabilities, and specifically the employment piece of that. And so looking for ways in which we could impact employment in St. Louis. And we are very much in a hospitality arena. There are tons of restaurants, tons of shops and opportunities to work in hospitality and customer service. And so we were looking for ways to offer that experience. Oftentimes people with disabilities have difficulty finding jobs. Number one, they don't have experience, and they don't have work experience, and employers are not always willing to offer that first opportunity. And so the restaurant idea was a idea of how we could get people with disabilities a broad range of experience and also help support our organization.
Now, did this predate you coming on board? So this is coming from...
It's on her watch.
This is on your watch.
This is give lots of people credit for it, but it's definitely something that's been in the last couple of years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's really the thing I love about when we think about social entrepreneurship. If we can use market forces and we can create earned revenue strategies for nonprofits or for-profits, frankly, that have a social good component and are looking to move the dial on important issues in our community, then we've got win-win-win-win-win.
Exactly, and that's exactly what it's about. I think it's about the funding landscape is changing, and so finding ways to be able to do the 50 years of service that we have always done, and finding new opportunities to fund that.
To be sustainable instead of just living off of grants, right?
Exactly. You got it.
We like diversified income no matter what kind of entrepreneur you self-identify as. It's always good to have more than one stream of revenue.
Exactly.
As you guys, so this is an eclectic team. We've got executive director, board member, grant writer, because in many cases that role communicates out, is integral to the communication strategy in an organization and sharing this vision. Beth, what kind of reaction has this idea gotten from the community?
So, for one thing, one of my main roles in relation to the restaurant has been working on the SCIC program. And so, Aimee and I have been working collaboratively to work with the team at WashU to really develop the concept, which has been amazing.
Yes.
And so since then, we've applied for several grants, and I'd say that every funder that we've talked to has just been so excited about, because this project really combines a lot of great ideas. Of course, there's what you've been talking about, diversifying revenue streams, and I really do think that social enterprise is the way of the future.
Yes.
I think that nonprofits, because of the way the landscape is changing, that we're going to have to become more self-sustaining, and so I think this is really the direction we're headed.
I think what's impactful is what you said. Nonprofits changing the focus of how they ran their operations. As I always tell people, nonprofits does not mean no profit.
Absolutely.
Not
it is
sustainable.
a tax status and not a business.
Exactly. And it was interesting because the way that I heard about you guys and what you were doing is through the SCIC competition. And I thought it was just so unique. When Christy and I were talking about lineups, I was like, oh my God, this is such a unique opportunity for the broader community, because I don't know, do you have any idea of any competition in this market, or did you guys ever look at models with using folks that were disabled and running these type of organizations, or is this something that you all are creating the model as you're developing it?
There are other models. I think what sets us apart a little bit. Can I talk about the cafe just a little bit?
Absolutely.
Yes.
We want to talk about the cafe.
Yes.
So the idea is that actually a person with a disability would first go through a training program. So we would offer a curriculum. And so in our current design, we have a restaurant on one side, and then connected adjacent is a training kitchen. And so a person would really go through a training curriculum. They would acquire skills, and then they would move on to the restaurant through an internship program, a paid internship program.
Okay.
And so then they develop skills working in an actual restaurant. And then the idea is not to keep folks there, because what we don't want is to silo individuals with disabilities in one place. We want them, just as our mission, to be out in the community in an integrated setting. So once a person goes through the internship program, they would move on to our employee and placement program, and then we would look for partnerships in the community to help individuals get and keep jobs.
So an integral part of this is the training piece. So
Yes.
one of the things we always like to remind our listeners is if they're interested in being subject matter experts, mentors, trainers in their area of expertise. So any of you restaurateurs out there, it sounds like there's a great place for you to repurpose your skills as well. And you're looking for placement options. So if anyone is operating a cafe, restaurant, coffee shop, fill in the blank, you're going to have a great pool of very talented and skilled candidates coming out of this program very soon. That's exciting.
We're really excited.
It is. Oh my gosh. So when you talk about planning for this operation, do you have any restaurateurs on your committee? How are you guys working through this? Because unless any of you guys have restaurant business in your background.
Well, your question is actually very timely. And then, so we have a restaurant committee because one of the issues that we ran into right in the beginning was this is a completely new venture for all of us, and none of us have actually opened up a restaurant before. We have various skills and expertise in a lot of other areas, but not actually the food industry. So we have identified a few folks that have some experience owning and operating restaurants. We are looking at putting together an advisory committee right now. So there's
more
another plug
opportunities.
for you.
More opportunities out here.
So for any restaurateurs that are out there in the St. Louis area, please contact us, because that is one area where we are looking for help. And then I think, the other thing that has been really helpful along this whole journey is that we've identified a lot of partners, vendors, Ford, PFG, Cisco. They have been instrumental in terms of making the contacts and then just helping us with the whole planning process up to this point.
That's fantastic. Those are big players.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have that kind of depth of bench to draw from as well.
And I think people, to get those players interested, is because the model is intriguing. And that, like you said, Aimee, I love the fact that it's not about just, keeping a certain amount of workers in that offering. You're looking to train,
Stepping stone.
right, and move them out into the broader community. So I think that's a wonderful opportunity.
And we're going to continue that conversation in just a minute.
How can our listeners begin living their lives with focus on their physical, mental, spiritual health? What are some of those small steps that they can take?
Physically, get up and walk. Just walk. That's simple. Get up and walk every day. If you can get 5,000 steps in a day, that's a great start. Other people are in different places and they like to be in the gym or whatever else you do, that's fine. But get up and move every day. We have to start thinking more holistically about our health and our well-being.
We need to thrive. Be alive and well. Learn more at aliveandwellstl.com.
I'm Heather Cameron, the Kaufman Chair for Social Entrepreneurship and Innovation at the Brown School at Washington University in St. Louis. Entrepreneurial thinking for me means vision, determination, resourcefulness, and never say quit.
So, Aimee, a lot of what we've been talking about is the importance of networks, connections, experts, mentors, coaches. What has that really meant for Paraquad as you've gone through this process?
Well, I mean, honestly, without the connections and the partnerships and the kind of push to do better, to know more, to meet more people, I don't think we would be anywhere near where we are today. And so part of that started with, SEIC and them really pushing us to talk, to talk to our restaurant, to everyone, connect with this person. What do you have in common? What can you give them? What can they give you? Sort of that trading of labor, trading of expertise, trading of
mutually
ideas.
beneficial.
Yes. Yes. And so, a couple of things, Christy Sheffley from Ford, Hotel Supply, she's been awesome, just introducing me to chefs and to people who have access to curriculums and different ideas. And so just her love of the projects opens it up to more people,
having a champion is so important, no matter what kind of business.
And I think entrepreneurs always are afraid. We see this.
Yeah, that whole talk about your ideas thing, that's another great reminder for our listeners, because people hold their ideas really close to their chest, and then they wonder why nothing happens. And if this were easy, correct, I'm getting a lot of head nods, so if this were easy, everybody be opening a cafe left and right? This isn't easy.
No.
So God bless, if somebody can take your idea and steal it from you, then it probably wasn't ambitious enough. Right?
That's true.
So talking and getting other people engaged.
Going to restaurants, talking to
you want to have the best
owners, taking
product
pictures of what is interesting, what draws you. I know Beth's done a lot of research on what people want in a cafe.
Right. That was I was going to ask. Yes. What was the market research like?
Well, that's just another thing that SEIC actually pushed us to do, and actually now we're working with WashU as well with the Taylor Community Consultants Program.
Wonderful, another great program available for our community.
Yeah, to do more market research, and so really that's just about interviewing customers and asking them, what do you look for? What gets you to come back to a cafe? What kind of food do you eat? What will you pay for a cup of coffee? Right. Those are important questions, and they're very simple, but.
And they are huge, because what we usually also tell entrepreneurs is don't come with your baby fully formed and be like, I have this wonderful cafe. Why aren't you coming? Why aren't you coming? We say go out and talk to your market and say, when you need a place to eat or drink or socialize or do some work, where do you go? How do you do that? What is the job you're trying to take care of, and how do you get it done? So I am so excited that those are the questions you're asking of the market, and you're not being like, here's our wonderful themed cafe. Everybody should love it. Tell me that you love it. Tell me that you love it. You're going and finding out what the gap in the market is and how you're going to.
I was going to say, most restaurateurs, the ones that are starting in our community,
it's hard, and you got some in your family.
Yes, they don't do this, and then they wonder why. Why are my seats empty at night? So it's like with any business, and the restaurant business is a very difficult business. Slim margins, and you've got to know how to manage it. So doing the research beforehand and understanding what you're getting into is key. But that's key with all of our entrepreneurs and what we say.
Yeah, I was going to say, getting to that point was actually a journey in itself.
I'm sure.
I think we did make the mistake of approaching this and saying, you know what, we're going to open up a restaurant, and it's going to be a 5-star fine dining establishment.
Michelin.
Yes. And we're going to bring in the best chefs from France.
Awesome.
Because, even when we were kicking off our restaurant committee, everybody is a self-described foodie.
And we all know what's good food.
Right. And the first couple meetings we had, it was just an hour-long debate about what kind of food should we have.
Italian. No, Thai.
Yeah, everybody is passionate about food. And so it took us a long point to actually be very strategic in how we were planning out this restaurant and looking at the community that we were serving, understanding who our competition is, what other type of restaurants are in the area, and then the residents, what are their local businesses, what are the local residential spaces. So I think even one of the light bulbs that went off early on was we discovered, hey, in the immediate vicinity, it's mostly your young 20s, single or two-person households, low to medium income. No one's going to go to a high-end restaurant.
That's what I like.
Let's keep this simple. Let's keep this achievable.
And I love the fact that you're looking at this. It is, a daytime type of restaurant. So breakfast, lunch, is that what you were looking at? And being a place where people in the community can connect. So that's a big thing, I think,
that
in our
is.
community.
And so let's talk a little bit about what that location is, because we know, but that doesn't mean our listeners know. So you guys are in Oakland, right? Yep. So you parallel Highway 40. You're between Hampton and Kings Highway. When I say it's my hood, I'm like 3 miles south of you in Southampton. So I know that intersection really well.
And you're near SLU
High School. It's near SLU High, and it's near Forest Park. It's near Dogtown. What? And you're going to be in your facility with this cafe, correct? Or are you looking at another?
It's part of our building. So if you're driving down 40 and you look up and you see this big glass, beautiful windows and a patio.
I just saw that.
That's the restaurant.
So we just need a few umbrellas outside, and then all we need because umbrellas.
So the build out is
that's a new
now.
place.
So the build out is happening now, right?
It is happening now. We are finalizing our drawings for the restaurant, and I would imagine we will. I mean, it's already gutted, so it is. I mean, even if you walk in now, it's beautiful. It's got floor-to ceiling windows.
Yes, it is.
It's very, very nice.
I was coming down the highway today, and I saw the glass, and I said, "Is that part of the architect? You guys have a?"
It's not my office.
Amy's moving into the window seat.
Into the big window
permanent reservation.
Yes.
That actually. The whole convenience part of this for your team, wow, now I'm envious. But
I think that, living in this city, which I think is a big food city anyway.
It is. It's one of the reasons we chose it.
But I think, are you finding people being very open and willing to work with you, especially those folks that are in the industry?
That's probably I would say the best part or the biggest aha to me is that, I think when you first come up with an idea, you do kind of wrap your arms around it. It's sort of your idea and your concept, and you don't know how to share that. But what I have learned through this process is that people are all there to support you, and that the restaurant industry in particular, or at least the people I've worked with, they're kind of like a little group of people that really just want to support good restaurants in the community. So that's been phenomenal.
So seeing this as additive not only from a competition standpoint, but the talent piece is a whole nother angle on what you're doing there.
And we do better when St. Louis does better,
Yes.
So
say it loud. Yes, all boats rising.
Absolutely. And I think this could certainly be a model for the nation, for people to look here and say, look what's occurring here and how St. Louis is being very inclusive in our community.
And part of that model is also financial sustainability.
Yes.
So what is, it's a question we would ask any entrepreneur, but I think you guys probably get it more often than not because it is a nonprofit looking to do an earned revenue strategy.
Beth, how you making the dollars work?
So, it's obviously a question. So the construction, we're fortunate that this is part of a larger capital project that we've been working on for the last couple of years. And so most of the construction is funded by new market tax credits.
Awesome.
And, so we're still fundraising.
Community benefit is a huge part of that program.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we just opened our new health and wellness center.
I was going to ask you about that because I know that.
So I can work out and eat in one place.
Absolutely. Yes.
Can I eat while working out? Because then
they don't want you over there with the food.
Crumbs on the treadmill.
They don't want you over there.
That's so cool. Is that open to the public as well?
Yeah, and that just opened in January, so it's brand new. It's beautiful.
Oh my
goodness! Again with the floor to ceiling windows. I love that space.
I know it's in the works, so it's open.
It's open. Yeah, and then we're also going to have a demonstration apartment that's going to demo universal design and have assistive technology for people with disabilities to try out different equipment. So the new space is going to be really amazing.
And we have meeting rooms, so when people in the community need a place to go, we're going to have space where...
For about how many folks?
Up to 100.
Ooh, I love that. Because that's hard to find.
Yeah.
Okay, good. It
and
gets better and better.
What else? Parking, too. That's really good.
Oh, my God, parking.
Yes. That is really good. Yeah. So when is the cafe launching?
So we're going to say in the fall.
The soft launch will be in the fall.
Yes.
Perfect. You work.
I love that.
I have like just enough information to be dangerous, and soft opening seems to be the thing.
There you go. Yeah. There you go.
Awesome. So you'll have to make sure that we know the launch date, because
Definitely.
that will be an exciting time. And just along those lines, has this sparked the interest of people who never even knew what Paraquad was before this? Because I find that when you talk about social entrepreneurship opportunities, you are speaking a whole new language for people that otherwise wouldn't give you the time of day. Yeah. Has that been the case?
Oh, for sure. And I think it's an opportunity to tell the story of Paraquad. And so, again, when you're talking about the folks who work in the restaurant space, they don't always know a lot about Paraquad.
Right.
They have heard about us or know it has something to do with disability, but then talking about how we have a shared love of, contributing to the community through good food. That brings people in. And
that
so people
connects
love this
people.
story.
Absolutely. And one thing I wanted to highlight, because I think you guys, when I was going through and looking at your website, Paraquad has provided a lot of firsts for this community. It was one of the first 10 centers nationwide to become a center for independent living.
Yep.
The first to develop a youth program in St. Louis for both disabled and non-disabled children. And now this new cafe. Yeah. You guys are breaking barriers.
We are.
So what's next on the horizon? We got the workout, we got the gym, we got the cafe. What else do you see on the horizon, Aimee? Because I know you're going to be there for another 50 years, too.
Right. So I think our laser focus, we've made a lot of, progress in terms of accessibility. I mean, there's, people can get out in the community. We've made a lot of progress in terms of integration. You expect that people will be kind of out and about. And I think the one area that really hasn't been impacted is an employment piece.
Yeah.
And so people with disabilities are still the poorest minority of any other minority. They're twice as likely to live in poverty of any other minority.
Wow.
And so really tackling that economic self-sufficiency piece, I think that's what you're going to continue to see from us now and in the future.
And a good reminder to our entrepreneurs who are creating new technologies and opportunities. A, you have an untapped workforce.
Yes.
And B, really thinking about what does it mean to be inclusive and what does it mean to be accessible. Because I think that's often overlooked as just part of a design principle in general, whether it's an app or a website or a building or a fill in the blank.
Right.
So there's also, folks, this resource in our community. So if you're conscious of that, and we're trying to raise your consciousness here as well, and are ready to ask those questions, you don't have to figure it out on your own. We have a whole community of people. That's what Paraquad does.
Exactly.
Who want to have that conversation with you. And just like they didn't know a whole lot about restaurants prior to now, you may not know a lot about disabilities and accessibility, but you have the conversation, you tap the experts that you need, and you start to opportunities for everybody.
Yeah, we have a whole, program that's designed specifically for the community called Accessible STL. So any kind of businesses or government entities, anybody who is interested in making their business or their processes or their environment more accessible, that's what we do.
I sense a program on the horizon for us. Because I think that would be a great thing. Early stage entrepreneurs, as you all can attest, are really laser focused on their business and kind of to the exclusion of all other things. And then when they come up for air, we could tell them all sorts of wonderful things for 30 seconds or so. And in that next 30 seconds, I think actually getting accessibility on their radar would be a great step in the right direction. So I'll be following up with you offline on that. So any final thoughts for our listeners with regard to entrepreneurship and following your dreams? Dennis, do you have anything you'd like to share with folks?
No, I mean, I think it's just getting over that initial hurdle of fear of the unknown. Because really when it comes to entrepreneurship, it's learning by doing, and it's asking for help, like the big theme of this talk.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Do you guys have any entrepreneurs that you're working with on this project?
They're all becoming entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Okay.
Right here, you're looking at it.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
Heather Cameron is a pretty good
example
of entrepreneurship. So
And if you're not familiar with Heather, you didn't listen to our prior podcast. So you can go back and catch up on Heather and her work at WashU and SEIC. But that's a great point. I mean, that's an integral part of your team at this point.
Too, to use the free resources. Who knew through SEIC, you start out thinking, that you're going to maybe win a prize, a cash prize. And then that becomes so far from the point.
Right.
As you're going through it, that you really learn that the value is learning how to do a social enterprise successfully and constantly being challenged to make your idea better. And then Taylor Consulting. There's all these opportunities out there that want to help you be successful, but you got to be willing to put in the time to do it.
That's the biggest thing. I think our entrepreneurs out there have to be willing to be open to listen, because there's lots of connections, partnerships, collaborations that can occur from that.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Cool. So, Aimee, tell us where folks can keep track of you. So, in terms of where can they find services that Paraquad offers, and when will they? How can they find out when the cafe is going to open? So
Okay, so we are right on Oakland, 5240 Oakland Avenue is our office, so people can stop in. We're also on the web. www.paraquad.org. Beth, what else am I missing?
We have Facebook, we have LinkedIn, we have Twitter.
And as soon as the cafe is named, it will have its own website, social media presence, etc.
And it'll have the opportunity for people to do online ordering. So the idea, too, is we
online ordering?
Yes.
Oh my God, I can pick up.
Yes.
and bring home.
Make it accessible to everyone.
Awesome.
Yeah,
we're all back.
Even lazy easers.
Yes, because I live near you guys, and that's just to get off the highway, pick it up, and go home.
I'll bring it out to you.
I'm excited.
Well, on that note, we look forward to being part of the cafe's constituency. To dining and otherwise supporting the mission and work of Paraquad. So thank you so much for making time to be with us today.
Thank you for this fabulous opportunity.
Thank you. And making St. Louis a great place
to live, work, play, and learn.
And be
eat.
Inclusive.
And eat! Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Changing the way you view new ventures, igniting your thinking about entrepreneurship. It's entrepreneurially thinking. Get connected and discover more. Visit our website for show notes, resources, information about our guests, upcoming events, and of course, all your favorite episodes. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them for us in the comment sections, and be sure to leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes. The best way to show love is to share. Let everybody know that you're thinking entrepreneurially. So visit our website, entrepreneuriallythinking.com. #ETHINKSTL. Entrepreneurially Thinking is another positive production of RareGem Productions. Thanks for listening.